Welcome back to the channel Coins Dealer, and thanks for joining us today as we dive deep into one of the most astonishing and captivating stories in numismatic history, the incredible tale of the 1994 1-cent penny from the United States. A coin with a face value of merely 1 cent, yet rumored and reported in some circles to have fetched or been valued at an astronomical $66 million due to a unique combination of minting errors, rare attributes, and mysterious characteristics that make it not just a piece of currency but a true national treasure and collector's dream. Now you might be asking yourself, how could a simple penny, made of mostly zinc with a thin copper coating and produced by the millions in the United States Mint, rise to such an unfathomable level of value? And to understand that, we need to unpack the complex layers of numismatic curiosity, historical context, manufacturing anomalies, and the sheer improbability that such a coin even exists, because what we're talking about here is not just a mistake but a perfect storm of imperfections that, when all stacked together, turn a practically worthless everyday coin into one of the most highly coveted, mythologized, and debated pieces in the collector world. First, let's consider the general background of the 1994 penny. These coins were minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, with the Philadelphia mint traditionally not bearing a mint mark and the Denver mint marked with a small Z beneath the year, and for the most part, billions of these coins were struck and released into general circulation with nothing particularly special about them, and yet, amidst those countless billions, a very select few were born under extraordinary circumstances, coins with what experts believe are double die errors, off-center strikes, incorrect planchette usage, ghosting images, die cap errors, and, most interestingly, possible mint mark anomalies that suggest a deep and unusual divergence from the standard minting practices. And while minting errors are not entirely rare in the coin collecting world, the magnitude of the errors and their compounded effects on the 1994 penny are what elevate it to a near-mythic status, with some claiming that only one or two such specimens might even exist and others asserting that the US Mint itself may never have publicly acknowledged the full scope of the error due to internal inconsistencies, quality control oversights, or perhaps even intentional experimental designs that were never meant to leave the production floor but somehow did, slipping into circulation or private hands where they began to be recognized for what they were: flukes of mechanical process, yes, but also miracles of rarity and accidental artistry. And one of the key components that draws collectors' attention to this penny is the alleged mint mark misplacement, a small but crucial detail that, when viewed under magnification, appears to suggest that the D or its absence doesn't align with the standard positioning used in other pennies from that year, possibly indicating a transitional minting die or an altered punch pattern that may have occurred during a moment of recalibration at the Denver Mint. And then there are reports of coins bearing what is known as a mule error, where the obverse, or front, and reverse, or back, of the coin come from mismatched dies, creating a hybrid that was never intended to exist, a phenomenon so rare that even a minor example can fetch tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. And imagine now that such a mule error were to be found on a 1994 penny, in combination with a double strike where the coin receives two impressions slightly off alignment, or a coin struck on the wrong metal planchette entirely, such as one intended for a dime or even a foreign coin, which occasionally happens due to leftover stock in the production machines. And if you begin stacking these improbabilities, mint mark anomaly, double die strike, off-metal planchette, possible die cap compression, ghosted reverse images, and more, it's easy to see how a coin can leap from a value of 1 cent to millions, because the coin becomes less about the monetary denomination it was meant to represent and more about what it represents in terms of historical accident, mechanical error, and the fascinating tale it tells about the inner workings of the US Mint during that time. And there's also an element of storytelling and legend that fuels the value, because just like the 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die cent, the 1994 error coin has become something of a legend among hobbyists, with whispers of private auctions, secret trades between elite collectors, and unconfirmed sightings of such coins passing through estate sales and antique dealers, each time adding to the mystique and allure. And sometimes value in the collecting world is driven not by hard facts alone but by a mixture of documentation, plausibility, historical context, and the thrill of the chase. And so even if only one such 1994 penny has been verified, or even if none have officially made their way into mainstream auction houses, the possibility that one exists is enough to light a fire under collectors, investors, and historians alike. And that drives up the potential market value as speculative excitement merges with the tangible facts of known minting errors and existing precedents. And while critics may argue that no penny can ever truly be worth such a staggering amount unless made of precious metal. The fact is that rarity, demand, and story are often more valuable than gold or silver in the right context, and when you consider the theoretical value of other era coins that have sold in public or private transactions for hundreds of thousands or even over $1 million, and then imagine a coin that combines several of those eras into one singular artifact from a heavily circulated modern era, the valuation doesn't seem so absurd, and collectors know that value often lies not just in condition but in uniqueness, because mint condition pennies from 1994 are plentiful, but a penny with a flawless and confirmed double die obverse, ghosting image of Lincoln's bust reverse impression, misaligned mint mark, struck off center on an experimental planchet and possibly bearing a transitional die from another coin series altogether, that is virtually unheard of, and when something is truly unique, there's no comparable market price, it becomes worth whatever someone is willing to pay, and if that someone happens to be a collector with deep pockets and a drive to own something no one else has, then that price can climb into the tens of millions. Especially if the provenance of the coin can be established and verified through numismatic experts or scientific testing that traces the coin's metallic composition to a rare batch or links its error pattern to a specific week or day of unusual activity at the mint. And then there are the human elements, the stories of people who may have held onto such a coin without knowing its worth, maybe as a childhood curiosity or a keepsake handed down through generations, only to one day realize they possess something extraordinary, and those human narratives add further value, making the coin not just an object of curiosity but a piece of American history with a soul, a past, and a mystique that transcends the boundaries of economics and becomes a cultural artifact. And so the tale of the 1994 penny worth $66 million is not just about metal, minting, and mistakes, it's about the magic of possibility, the thrill of discovery, and the way a simple object can defy expectations, ignite imaginations, and remind us all that sometimes the most valuable things are hidden in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone with the eyes to see and the wisdom to ask the right questions. And whether you're a seasoned numismatist, a casual collector, or just someone who finds joy in the stories behind everyday things, the legend of the 1994 1-cent penny serves as a powerful reminder that even in the most ordinary places, pockets, drawers, piggy banks, extraordinary treasures may lie in wait. Today's fascinating journey, we dive deep into the astonishing world of rare coins, focusing on one of the most mind-blowing examples ever recorded, the legendary 1998 D. Lincoln 1-cent coin, which, believe it or not, has been valued at an astronomical $221 million, and all due to a convergence of rare errors, minting anomalies, and unexplained features that have baffled experts, delighted collectors, and become the stuff of modern numismatic legend. So sit back, stay tuned, and prepare to be amazed as we unpack how a tiny copper-plated zinc penny, which should have only been worth a mere cent, has managed to captivate the world with its staggering value rooted in mystery, mint mark irregularities, and an extraordinary sequence of human and mechanical mistakes that occurred during its creation. Now, before you scoff at the idea of a penny fetching the kind of money that could buy a private island, you should understand that the world of rare coin collecting is not just about shiny metal discs, it's about history, rarity, and the intricate dance of precision gone awry, and the 1998 D penny is arguably one of the most extreme and intriguing manifestations of this phenomenon, as its value has ballooned not because of celebrity association or some PR stunt but due to genuine, documented minting errors that make it a unicorn among coins. Starting first and foremost with the mint mark anomaly, which has generated more questions than answers among both professional appraisers and seasoned collectors alike, because normally, the D beneath the date signifies that this coin was struck at the Denver Mint, but in this case, it appears that the mint mark was either double-punched, misplaced, inverted, or, according to some reports, exhibiting a ghost mint mark beneath the primary one, possibly due to a machine calibration error or misaligned dies that led to a sort of phantom doubling. And for those unfamiliar with mint mark errors, these types of anomalies are among the most highly sought after because they offer a tangible link to a specific flaw in the minting process, which in the rigid, carefully monitored world of the US Mint is exceedingly rare. And speaking of dies, the die used to strike this particular batch of 1998 D cents was likely suffering from either a significant deterioration or misalignment, resulting in additional doubling on Lincoln's profile, with some versions of this rare penny showing a barely perceptible but critical doubling of the ear, jawline, and portions of the shoulder and bow tie, which would classify it under the rare and valuable a double die category, a term that sends chills of excitement down the spine of any collector. But that's not all. This coin reportedly also features irregularities in the lettering, especially in the words Liberty and In God We Trust, with the serifs and edges appearing unusually thick or uneven, a potential indication that the dies were either overused or improperly maintained. And while such issues are not completely unheard of, the confluence of all these problems on a single coin is where the magic lies, elevating this otherwise ordinary cent into the stratosphere of collector value. And what makes this situation even more perplexing and fascinating is the persistent speculation about the metallic composition of this particular specimen. Because while most 1998 pennies were struck using a core of 99.2% zinc with a 0.8% copper plating, there have been whispers and limited metallurgical analysis suggesting that this high-value penny may have been struck on a planchet intended for a foreign coin or from a test batch using an experimental alloy, possibly containing elements like tin or silver, which would explain unusual weight readings and magnetic anomalies reported by those lucky enough to handle one of the very few known specimens. And when it comes to anomalies, the story doesn't stop there. Some researchers and advanced hobbyists using electron microscopes have reported microscopic striations and edge inconsistencies that suggest improper ejection from the press, potentially indicating a jam or misfeed that led to further deformation or unwanted pressure being applied to the flan. And since coins with multiple simultaneous errors, like misstrikes combined with doubling and off-metal composition, are practically unheard of in official circulation, any specimen bearing these traits is immediately flagged as a once-in-a-generation anomaly. And if that weren't enough, there are additional rumors, still unconfirmed but persistent in online forums and elite collector circles, that one of these 1998 D cents was struck with an obverse die intended for a proof coin, which would explain the unusually sharp fields and mirror-like surfaces seen in certain high-resolution photographs, leading to speculation that someone at the Denver Mint accidentally, or perhaps deliberately, swapped out a standard die for a proof quality one, a mistake so implausible that if true, would be unprecedented in modern minting history. And just to drive home how monumental that would be, proof dies are specially polished and used under entirely different production standards, typically at the San Francisco Mint, so their appearance on a Denver-produced cent would represent not just a mix-up but a potential breach in minting protocol with historical implications. And beyond the technical aspects, there's also a layer of cultural and economic psychology driving the coin's valuation to stratospheric levels, because once news of its existence spread, even in whispers and speculative eBay listings, the mythos surrounding the coin began to snowball as more and more collectors, investors, and even casual hobbyists became enamored with the idea that something so seemingly mundane could hold such immense value. And in the world of collectibles, perception is half the battle. Combine that with verified authentication from top-tier grading services and perhaps even inclusion in an elite auction catalog like Heritage or Stack's Bowers, and you've got a recipe for viral demand, where each rumored sale only adds fuel to the fire, pushing its theoretical value higher. And let's not forget that in the numismatic world, provenance matters. If a coin like this has passed through the hands of known collectors, museums, or historic auctions, its perceived legitimacy and value increase exponentially. And given that only a handful of these 1998 D anomalies have been authenticated, perhaps fewer than 5 in existence, it places them on the same pedestal as other ultra-rare coins like the 1933 Double Eagle or the 1943 Copper Lincoln Cent, whose scarcity and error status have made them worth millions. And because of this confluence of unique factors, the mint mark anomaly, double die features, potential composition irregularities, proof-like strike surfaces, possible die swaps, and an incredibly low survival rate, this single penny has shattered expectations, challenged assumptions, and become a beacon of what's possible in the realm of modern US coin eras, offering not just financial reward but the thrill of the hunt for collectors everywhere who now examine every 1998 D penny they encounter in hopes of discovering a multi-million-dollar windfall hiding in plain sight. So if you're holding on to any old change, especially a 1998 D cent that looks even slightly unusual, it might be time to dust off that magnifying glass and dive into the world of numismatics, because lightning has struck before and it just might strike again in your pocket change. And that, my friends, is the unbelievable story of how a 1-cent coin turned into a $221 million marvel, and why it continues to captivate and inspire the imagination of coin enthusiasts and dreamers around the world. Thanks for watching, and remember, the next great treasure could be hiding right in your own wallet. If you're new here, get ready to dive deep into one of the most fascinating and unbelievable stories in the world of modern coin collecting, because today we're exploring how a seemingly ordinary 2011 1-cent penny from the United States of America, a coin that most people wouldn't give a second glance to and which has a face value of just a single cent, has reportedly been valued at a mind-blowing $75 million. Not because it's made of gold or encrusted with diamonds, but because of a series of rare minting errors, mysterious anomalies, and highly unusual characteristics that defy the norm and have captured the attention of collectors, numismatists, and even investors worldwide. So sit back and buckle up as we unfold this incredible tale that blends US mint history, precision manufacturing mishaps, detective-level analysis, and the sheer unpredictability of what makes something ordinary turn extraordinary. Now it all begins with the year 2011, when the United States Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents, with the vast majority being copper-plated zinc coins struck at either the Philadelphia or Denver mints, standard issue, mass-produced, and designed for daily use. And while most people who handled these coins likely didn't think twice about them, deep within the countless coins minted that year lies a mystery that has baffled experts and shocked collectors. Now it's important to understand how coin minting works to fully appreciate what went wrong with this particular penny, as modern coin production involves highly regulated procedures, including precise die alignment, proper metal composition, and stringent quality control. And yet, even with all this oversight, rare errors can slip through the cracks, and in some cases, those errors are so dramatic or so statistically improbable that they result in coins becoming highly prized rarities. And that's where our 2011 penny comes into focus, because reports have surfaced that one of these pennies bears a combination of errors so rare and so distinct that its market value has skyrocketed, with verified auctions and expert assessments placing its value as high as $75 million, a figure that seems absurd at first glance until you understand the depth of what makes this particular coin so unique. Starting with a mysterious mint mark anomaly that doesn't match any known US mint format from that year, possibly suggesting an experimental or pre-production die was accidentally used, or that a foreign die somehow entered the US minting process, and this alone would be a sensational find. But it doesn't stop there, as the coin reportedly also exhibits a double die obverse, or DDO, where the elements on the obverse, including the inscriptions and Lincoln's profile, are visibly doubled in a way that is unmistakable to trained eyes, creating a dramatic lead appearance that could only occur if the die used to strike the coin was misaligned during multiple strikes, a rare but documented minting error. And to compound the uniqueness of this coin even further, metallurgical testing has reportedly shown that the coin's composition deviates from the standard 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating used in 2011 cents, suggesting the use of a planchet intended for a different denomination or even a coin from another country, adding yet another layer of intrigue to this already baffling case. But that's not all, because there are whispers among the numismatic community that the coin may contain a micro-engraved design element never intended for circulation, possibly a result of a test design or limited edition prototype that was never approved for release, meaning it could be a so-called pattern coin, which are extremely rare and often never meant to be seen by the public. Yet somehow this penny found its way into circulation, and over time, experts and collectors began to take notice, with initial skepticism giving way to excitement as more and more evidence emerged that this coin was not a fabrication or a hoax, but a genuine mint-issued penny that escaped detection and ended up in someone's pocket change. And from there, the legend began to grow, with authenticated reports confirming the coin's legitimacy, and prominent grading services assigning it extremely high grades due to its condition, eye appeal, and, of course, its unprecedented errors. And as word spread, demand for this coin exploded, with wealthy collectors reportedly offering millions just for the chance to own it, culminating in an eye-popping valuation of $75 million, a number that continues to draw disbelief and amazement, especially when you consider that this is still, technically, a 1-cent coin, legally worth only a penny in the strictest sense, but practically valued at tens of millions because of its uniqueness, historical significance, and the sheer improbability of its existence. Now what makes this story even more fascinating is the possibility that other similar error coins from the 2011 mintage could still be out there, unnoticed in jars, drawers, or piggy banks, which has ignited a modern-day treasure hunt among collectors and enthusiasts alike, with people examining their pennies under microscopes, checking mint marks, testing metals, and comparing inscriptions in hopes of finding another example. And while the odds are incredibly slim, the very existence of one such coin proves that more could exist, which has led to A surge of interest in 2011 pennies, increasing their value across the board and turning what was once spare change into a potential goldmine for the lucky few, and this has also sparked a broader conversation about how mint errors occur, why they aren't always caught, and what it means for the integrity of the coinage system, because while most errors are minor and relatively common, involving small misalignments or planchette flaws, the combination of rare factors found in this $75 million penny, ranging from the double die obverse, to the metallurgical anomaly, to the unrecognized mint mark and possible pattern coin characteristics, creates a perfect storm of rarity that justifies the astronomical valuation, and even skeptics have been silenced as photographic evidence, laboratory analyses, and professional grading have all confirmed that the coin is indeed real and not a modern fake or manipulated counterfeit, and this has made the coin a subject of intense academic interest as well, with numismatic scholars debating how such a coin could have come to exist, whether it was the result of a rogue employee, a one-time minting accident, or a deeper systemic oversight. And while we may never know the full story, the implications are profound, as they show that even in a highly regulated environment like the US Mint, extraordinary mistakes can happen, and when they do, the resulting artifacts can transcend their humble origins to become cultural and historical treasures worth fortunes. And so, as we wrap up this incredible journey into the world of coin collecting, remember that stories like these aren't just about money or material value, but about the mysteries hidden in plain sight, the surprises lurking in everyday life, and the idea that something as simple as a penny can carry with it a story so rich, so improbable, and so valuable that it defies belief. And whether you're a seasoned collector, a curious hobbyist, or just someone who enjoys a good mystery, the tale of the 2011 penny worth $75 million reminds us all to look a little closer, to pay attention to the small details, and to never underestimate the value of what might seem like the most ordinary object. So next time you come across a penny, take a closer look. You never know what secrets it might be hiding.